All right. Without further ado, you've all come in here for probably a very similar reason. We're hoping it was because of the flyer or some type of promotion that was done with the library. I'm going to just get started.
Yeah.
Do we need to worry about the phone that this gentleman's got? Trying to turn it off?
Trying to turn it off.
Okay. This slide has been used, for those of you who've seen my other presentations, over and over because I love it so much, and it's an opportunity for me to look at the advancement of technology. And what I've said before, for those of you, I'm repeating myself, when I grew up I used a typewriter, and in college I used a typewriter, and I too had to make the leap, as you all have had to do, to technology. So when I stand up here and tell you what a great expert I am on these things, I was also a part of the learning curve. And I'm enjoying the process, believe me, but I did not grow up like my children have currently a sense of moving around on the World Wide Web and working with applications and a technology piece that is just a part of their everyday vernacular. That was not me. Okay, so I used this last time and I really liked it. This is what we use in a classroom when my master's is in special education, and I teach and I tutor, and I work for the Sag Harbor School District, and we use this a lot about like, well, what do I know about this thing I'm supposed to be learning, whether it's Harriet Beecher Stowe or crowdfunding? What do I know? What do I want to know, and what have I learned? And this is a really valuable tool as you all are thinking about beginning your project, first by coming here and listening to me, and then that middle column becomes yours. What do I want to know? And then hopefully you'll have something to fill in for that last column by leaving here, and then you may still have some more thoughts after. If I could, do all of you have a project in mind that you're thinking about doing? Yes, okay. Are any of these projects art? Okay. Theater? Health? Does anybody want to volunteer what their topic is? You don't have to. Yes?
Technology, help somebody with technical.
Technology, excellent. That's a great one. Anything else, writers?
Is this house preservation?
Oh, house preservation, nice. I like it. Okay. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm just trying to get a sense of what we have. This is the goal. We're trying to answer some of these questions going forward, and we will talk at the end, and I'm going to give you a little walkthrough of where I am with my Kickstarter project. All right, so first and foremost, what is crowdfunding? If you're in this room, you probably know the definition of it. And what you may not know is in the second paragraph at the bottom. And it's this sort of three elements that are involved in any project. And those are the people who are actually creating the project, the funders, and then those who are going to support. And those are the three pieces that you need. Some vocabulary, because the teacher in me can't help but do this. The platform, which is in quotes, that's a word that you will see over and over again if you go ahead with a crowdfunding project. How? Okay, so how am I going to go about it? All of you sitting here have an idea. I had an idea. What am I going to do? Well, before I go crazy and just log on to Kickstarter, because that's the language that we hear about, it's the Xerox of copy machines for crowdfunding. I would really like for you all to take the time to really think through your campaign. We'll go through some of these slides. We'll talk a little bit about some experiences that I've had and others have had with success and failure. The second bullet point is the most important one on this one. Do you have a legitimate reason besides just wanting money? We all watch television, those commercials with the dogs that belong to a shelter that have been abused, or the commercials that are showing people that are starving somewhere else. They get us, and they get us for a reason. They capture their audience. The commercial for selling, I don't know, cleaning wipes may not get us on the same level. You don't want to be the cleaning wipes. You want to be the doggies who need the home, or the children who need to be fed. You have to have some type of narrative that goes with your project, your campaign. Campaign is the word that is used for these projects. It's your campaign, like a politician. A politician can't run for office just on his party or her party. A politician can't just say, I want you to vote for me because I'll be good at it. You have to have buy-in. You have to believe that that candidate's going to represent you, that you're investing in them by pulling the lever and or writing a check to her or him running for office. It's the same idea. That's why the word campaign is a good word. I'm not just going to give you money so that you can go out and buy supplies for your project. Were I actually somebody who were to invest. So that's the key piece on that one. I've pulled this, and this is a good website for people to go to. It kind of highlights some of the more successful ways to approach this, and I'm going to give you some other resources at the end, so not to worry. As I said, Kickstarter's the Xerox or the Kleenex version. What I like about the end of this is it says if you're looking for the Kickstarter feature to kickstart your campaign, then you could be in trouble. And that means this isn't just plug and play, ladies and gentlemen. We don't get to just log on and fill out a bunch of basically forms online and say, here you go. Just like I was talking about with web development and promotion and blogging and everything we do in marketing, you are your own agent. Nobody's going to do it for you. Yes, you can pay someone like me or somebody in PR to do it, but ultimately any of the programs or platforms, using that word again, platforms that you pick are going to ask of you to do the promotion. So that's the caveat to this. It's really important that you know you don't just sort of send it out into the great World Wide Web and it happens for you. Okay. One of the people who's quoted in this is a marketing guru who I'm very fond of and has a great approach. And I like what he has to say is that they don't want to back a campaign that's not going to work. Well, how do you know if it's going to work or not work? Does anybody have an idea? I like my group to participate. How would something be illegitimate? It has to make sense. Illegitimate being that it's not legitimate, not real, not lawful. There's a tremendous amount of rules and regulations for all of these. But what would be maybe something that wouldn't work about a campaign? I think I just spoke about it.
Something that's so self-centered that nobody else it doesn't apply to them at all.
Good. Ding, 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 gold star. Okay, social media. Please raise your hand or call out if you feel like I'm covering an area that you are unfamiliar with or vocabulary that you're unfamiliar with. You're going to need your social media to help you with your campaign, whatever your project is. You're going to choose which social media you're going to use. Not everybody uses Facebook, not everybody is a tweeter. This really depends on what your project is and who your audience is. We always talk about the narrative and the audience, and you're going to have to rely on the social media to support you in that way. Here's what's different. Why do you think a video is so valuable for a crowdfunding project? Anybody have an idea?
People can relate to it.
People can relate to it. How's that?
They see it in action, they see it's more personal than just having...
It's more personal, they see it in action, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but that's right, it's visual. We just talked about the idea that those campaigns that go at odd hours of television, the commercials for the sad dog or the sad child, that gets you. If it was just audio, if you were to close your eyes during that commercial, you'd hear music, you'd hear the narrative, Sally Struthers telling you how important it is for you to give the money. But without that visual, you don't have buy-in. So this is one of the only times in which...
Should like an iPhone video?
Yes, and this is one of the only times that I will say you must, and I'm not a muster. I don't like to say you should, but you should and you must make a video. Here's the good news. It doesn't matter how simple a video is. You could use your telephone. You could use, I don't know what you have, a grandchild, a friend, a cousin, anyone. You don't have to do a lot. It doesn't have to be a Hollywood production. It can be just simply you speaking, testimonials about your health initiative, for example. That would be wonderful. Can you do a video that's a bunch of slides like I've done?
Bunch of what?
Slides.
Yeah, you can. You add music to it. It can feel like
Yay! Yay! Yes, you could do less text, obviously, but you could put together something like a PowerPoint, or you could actually have, if it were a project, filming of your art, and you could have signs underneath of it. If there's narrative, if there's someone speaking over it, if there's music, if you enhance it in some way, great, it tells a better story. Your job is to tell the story. It is not the only piece that will be a part of your crowdfunding project, but it is a primary piece, because when I'm thinking as an investor about choosing between one health initiative and another, I might actually have buy-in if I see somebody tell me it was a fantastic workshop, and I see that their shoulders are back. I see that they're standing in a picturesque environment. I have a quote. It's just like when we do the web stuff, we talk about always having quotes on our website, testimonials. I participated in the workshops at Rogers Memorial Library with Ava Locke. She was amazing. Are you going to go to her workshop? Absolutely. If it's not there, who's this Ava Locke? So taking that another step further. So this is a must. See my finger? I'm pointing
I
it.
just want to ask you, when I'm
Please.
reading this, it says it's not supposed to be an amateur video, so you suggest paying someone to do this?
In so much as it's not supposed to be the shaky hand. You want it to be polished. So if you're filming your project personally, I'm just going to use you as an example, if that's okay. If you were to take your phone and film people who were from the community who feel strongly that this house needs to be restored, it's a historical project, historical property, the value of that, if you were to do it with your phone, as long as your hand is still, it kind of goes back to the old, cutting someone's head off in the photograph. You don't want any of that. You don't want the camera someone to go off screen, and that's what it means. You should really take your time with it. Can you start with an amateur one, or a sort of more, basic, rudimentary video, and then add something later? Absolutely. A placeholder one would be perfectly fine. And then if you say, oh, well, after we did that, I should have gone to the Southampton Historical Society and interviewed Betsy because she's the one that knows about this property. And then you go back. The beauty is you can keep changing these things. It's yours to monkey with. Keep adding and enhancing. You have to learn more about the response that you get or don't get. Okay. This is helpful. This is the idea that you need. I'm going to skip this slide because we're going to run out of time and I want to be able to talk with you about projects. But if you were to go on Google or any other search engine, you could research successful campaigns versus unsuccessful campaigns. Like, why does something flop? This is just talking about the idea that media, journalism, journalists, they need the video, they need the narrative, it's sort of further saying what we've already discussed or highlighted. They have to have buy-in, because if there's two people doing some initiative on technology, which there's definitely more than two, why are they going to listen to you? Okay, this is my favorite one. Don't ask for money right away. Well, when we work with students that are sort of 12 years and up in the schools, we always say when they have an idea and they want to, flesh it out, if you can explain it to a 5-year-old and the 5-year-old understands you, you have comprehension and you have ownership of that idea. I would highly recommend you do this. Don't talk to somebody who knows crowdfunding. Talk to somebody who doesn't. Somebody's grandchild, somebody's niece, nephew, something, and tell them about your project. It doesn't have to be a 5-year-old. It can be an 8-year-old. I've got a great 9-year-old at home that I say things to when I'm trying it out, because he's the first to ask questions that are uninhibited by what we know, by the world. And he'll say, I don't really understand. How are you going to? You want that. Before you go out and put your name on something and you ask for people to help you get your name out there, try this. It is a great exercise. Yeah, this is also true. Definitely, unlike a trademarked invention, this isn't Shark Tank. You need to promote yourself. You need to start talking about it. You need to start building your fan base. Everyone that I see, I'm telling them now about my crowdfunding project. I'm not worried that someone else will take my idea, because it's even better if there's another person doing it. How am I going to look at their project versus my project, and how I'm going to tell my story to get the investor? So extra, read all about it is that slide. This one's key. This is what my mother taught me when I was growing up. You always write the thank you. My children actually write thank you notes. They have their own handwriting on it. The value of P&T, pleases and thank yous. I made that up, by the way. And I remind my children all the time, it's priceless. Letting people know where you are. Maybe you're worried, I didn't get the goal financially that I wanted, the backers are going to pull. No. This is your chance to turn that frown upside down. You make the glass half full instead of half empty. Thank you so much for the support, if it's directed to them or in general. I've had a tremendous amount of support. I'm excited to learn that more people are signing on. Everything's a positive. But you need to let them know, we didn't make our goal. If you don't communicate these things and you don't thank and ask with a please, you're going to lose your, I guess we used to call them angels in the world of nonprofit. You're going to lose your angels. They're not going to be interested anymore, whether it's your best friend Sally, who you grew up with, or not. They need to feel special. They are angels. They are precious. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Pictures tells 1,000, whatever. Anyway, I love this because this is what we were saying earlier when we were talking about ideas. You do really need to be individual. You have to be something different than everybody else. That's key as well. Your existing fans are already around you. They are your family. In this situation, you're relying on your family and friends because they're going to help you promote your business idea, your project, your campaign. A politician I worked with who was running for town council 2 summers ago, he had a huge base in Bridgehampton, and he relied heavily on them to communicate with Hampton Bays and East Quogue and places that knew nothing about him. It is the same thing. I want you to remember you're running for office, and you're running against other candidates, and they're in the same party as you. After you've gotten the grassroots support of your friends, families, the people that are going to help promote, you're going to go out to the bigger world. And there are ways in which to do that. And what's wonderful about today's internet technology is there's a lot of hand-holding. And I always encourage people to use the help button on anything that they do, whether it's telephoning and saying, I don't understand this, or emailing a question with a live chat. You need to rely on that. I'm going to give you some resources for that. But in order for you to go to the next level, you'll be walked through it if you sign up for a project, for a campaign, but first think of the people who are your smaller audience, the audience around you, and then you're going to the big world. Okay, this is the last slide. I have some other things to show you, and I want to have a little chat. This is one image I found of the many different opportunities for a campaign. Again, back to what I was saying with Penny in developing the workshop flyer, we said kickstart your campaign, we used language like that. Everyone seems to sort of be the most familiar with the Kleenex of tissues, which is Kickstarter. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Kickstarter. It is the bigger of the options. For those of you who haven't been in a workshop with me before, does anyone who wasn't in a workshop with me before know how when you go on a search engine, why something comes up first?
Previous clicks.
Previous clicks is actually not what it is. If you've clicked on it, you mean your previous clicks or others?
Others.
Yes and no. Does anybody from a workshop from before want to answer it?
Paid advertising.
Paid advertising. Ding, 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 ding. You pay to be at the top. I said my story about my grandfather's vending company. He was AAA vending. Why was he AAA? Because back in the day when you had the phone book, he was at the top. And he knew that. Today it doesn't matter if he was Triple J. Because if he pays, he can be at the top of a search engine. How you're going to choose your platform depends entirely on what you're doing. Is anyone familiar with Art Basel?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay, good. Art Basel has its own crowdfunding resource. That's just an example. For those of you who don't know what Art Basel is, you can pretty much imagine that it's this huge art show that happens in a few locations. And if they've figured out that the best way to encourage artists to get funding is to use their name, then you know there's one for everything. There's more than one, I should say, for all of the categories that I've listed here on the flyer. And there are targeted platforms for each of those. When I was looking for the theater one, I wanted to use Kickstarter because I wanted to be familiar with the main, largest, most commonly used. But there are theater-specific crowdfunding ones. There are health-specific ones. There are art-specific. I'm going to say there's probably a gazillion technology ones. I don't know what gazillion stands for, but there are a lot. So I'm going to stop there, take a deep breath. Do we have any questions where we are right now? Yes?
I sort of feel like I'm not getting this. Do people go on to Kickstarter and say, well, I'm interested in health and I happen to have a lot of money, so I'm going to go on Kickstarter.
Okay, so remember we talked about the 3 components to crowdfunding. So there's 3. There's myself, I'll use me, who I have the idea for a project, a campaign. Then there are the people that actually help promote me using a platform, one of these companies, and my sort of network of people. And then there's the investor. Now that is a very interesting point. I didn't really talk about that because I'm thinking about, holding your hand and encouraging you, and I want to get you to be able to walk out and be motivated to do one. But investors are sort of an interesting thing. I mean, I've never been in banking. I don't know how people have gone from being a personal investor, but they have. There are actually people who will be more willing to invest in a project or a campaign in one of these places after having success with another. There are all these great stats on that. When you go to some of these websites, they show you historically. But it goes back to what we were saying earlier. You're relying on the Breck commercial from 1972, and she told 2 friends, and she told 2 friends. That's what the World Wide Web is. The World Wide Web is that Breck commercial. If I say, here's my idea, and then you help promote it, bless you. And then it goes that you tell 2 more people. And if you put $25 in, and your 2 people put $25, I've reached my goal of 100 now. I mean, granted, wouldn't it be nice if everything was $25, but it's not. But yes, the investor are the people that are in your immediate network to begin with, and then these platforms offer promotional opportunities for you to be featured. And I'm about to show you some of that. Any other questions? Okay. Without further ado. So, one of the great resources that I found, I'm going to show you this right now. You can write it down. We talk a lot about Wikipedia and how it can be very dangerous to rely on it as a resource for accuracy, but I will say that the wikihow.com on crowdfunding is very good. Again, it has the visuals, tells you the different steps, gives you even a timeline. You see how she's contemplating what she's going to do 2 months prior, and scrolling through pretty simple things, how to do them, and then if you come across something, you can kind of link on it. So I recommend this one as a great resource. Okay. For each platform company, they have their own rules. If you have been following any of these projects in the New York Times, you can read about some of the issues that have come up over time, which is people not meeting their goals or doing something, I'm going to use the term naughty because I can't think of another thing, doing something naughty, something not legitimate. This is a page that just came up for me in the stage that I'm in my Kickstarter campaign. And each time they kind of keep reminding you, you can't fundraise for charity on this website. There are other websites for that. Yes?
If I were to do a project that involved, I think I mentioned this to you before, where if I were to do a project that involved, let's say, photography and animals, and the way to get people interested would be then to give part of the, if it became a book, to have it, the part of the profits go to, like, Art Vitally or something.
Right.
Isn't that a charity?
Yes, but you wouldn't use crowdfunding for the part giving to the charity. What you would be doing is, we'll use your example. You did a photo book on animals. You would like it to go to the ASPCA. So you need the money, you're asking for the money and support to get the project done and then sell the book. The part that goes to the ASPCA is the profit of the sales. The number you're looking for in the audience you're looking for are the people who believe that these dogs need to be rescued and that the value of photographing them will get us more money.
Production.
Right. It would be very difficult. I don't know how this particular platform would get around the fact that you're giving some of the money or that you're targeting it specifically to ASPCA. That would be interesting. You'd have to rewrite it if you were using Kickstarter, but there are other ones that you can use. Let me just show you what this is, because it's kind of helpful. They really break the whole thing down. There's a help center down below. There's a handbook, but more importantly, the one I want to show you. This one I like a lot. I have to put the mic down to type. Crowdfunding. Can you hear me? Academy. This one I want you to write down. This is a great one. This is like a little school. This helped me. If you go to the resources in this, all these people down here can help you with different aspects of it. Help you market, help you answer questions. There's some handbooks in here, tools for you. Tells you, this is a good one. This is one of the best ones out of all of them. And look at that. They partnered with all these other companies. One that we all know, LegalZoom. How are you going to protect your idea if you needed a patent? But so this is a great one. That's one of my favorites. All right, let's go back to my campaign. So, do you want to hear my idea?
Yes.
I don't have a video.
Well, I'm not investing.
See? I'm going to stand up here and tell you about it, or I'm going to type something. Yeah, no. See, you don't care, do you? You don't care in the same way. Now I've just lost my Kickstarter campaign. When you log on to Kickstarter, you're going to get this. I like this. When we were talking about websites, I like this one because it rolls through a screen shot of different projects. And they do this because they want people to invest. How do you get featured as one of these? They pick you. It's just, there's a whole thing on their website about how they pick you. If we were to search projects, I'm going to do oh, look at that. Isn't it fun when you come to my workshops, then you become part of my my lesson plan? This is what I would do. Spend some time, whether it's on Kickstarter or any of the other ones, just start typing in keywords on your project and think about it. That development stage that we talked about earlier, this is really key. You need to figure out who else is out there. And, you know, I have to say, imitation is flattery, isn't that what they say? So if you choose to use a similar language, a similar narrative as someone else, by all means, do it. Okay, so this is me. Now, had I had time, I would have made a video. This is me logged in. I haven't gone public with my project. I've just picked an image. When you start your account with one of these things, they sort of walk you through. They ask you for your title. They ask you for some type of blurb, the category for which you're going to be. And I'll just tell you as briefly as I can. My idea is, because I have my master's in special ed and feel very strongly that live theater should be inclusive and not exclusive, too many people have friends and family that can't go into a live theater audience because they have some type of difference, whether it's being on the spectrum, whether they have Tourette's, whether they're in a wheelchair, etc., etc. I'm hoping to devise, I've clearly not given myself, I think the money's up there somewhere. Anyway, I'll show you in a minute. I haven't given myself a whole lot of money because I'm not done the research side of it. But what I'm hoping to do is, instead of going and applying for one of the standard grants, which every other arts organization is applying for, I'm looking to have my campaign be funded by people I know that support this. I have a whole community. I'm on the board of the Special Education Parent-Teacher Organization out here on the East End. I know people will give $25. All I need is one night for every show at Guildhall, one night for every show at Bay Street, at West Hampton, wherever it is, that allows for the audience members who typically don't feel comfortable to come in. So, who has an idea for my video? What should I show, Penny? I have my own ideas, but just by telling you this, how am I going to tell this story? I can stand up here and tell you the value of live theater, the importance of these families and how hard it is for them. What would be the best use? Picture them going there. What was the word I used before? Testimonials.
Yes.
Testimonials. I am going to go out and get a couple of people on my simple camera phone, and I'm going to interview them, their experience on being able to go to a children's museum or a theater or something, and what that's been like to open up their social network. I'm also going to film an event where they do participate, and the talk back that takes place afterwards, and have parents and family members. I don't know if you know about the Prado Museum and what they've just done. Pretty remarkable. I'm going to go so badly. Field trip from the library. They've taken some very famous artwork and they've made it for the visually impaired. It's a three-dimensional version of some of the great classics in the museum dedicated to the visually impaired to open up their audience. I could cry. Can you imagine what that video looks like? Anyway, so that's my project. I've only filled out a few things. I haven't finished my blurb. I picked just a general image for right now. That's probably not what I'm going to have when I go public. But like we were talking about, as I'm writing stuff, I want to be able to change things. They'll ask you for your duration. They give you choices for the duration, what your end time and your beginning time is. Now, there's my funding goal, which is not actually a realistic one.
What do you mean, it's too high, it's too low?
Well, I think I would start with a pilot project, so I feel like right now it's too high. The people that I would ask are people I know who would give $20 and such. So I want to go lower, and I want to do a pilot project, and I want to do one evening, and then go from there. So that is something I know, and already just poking around on Kickstarter, I've realized it's not the right platform for me, which is why I'm not finished. No, because this is a platform for something bigger and grander and reaching a different audience. I'm going to go to the theater-based one and use that, and even though I don't know anybody in their community, I can send it out to my friends that have come and said, I love your idea, Ava, I'll give you $20, like all of you who said that when you went like this. Yes, I give you $20. It's a great idea. I'm going to hit all of you up. I'm going to send you, I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to send Penny one. Penny was smiling back there. She's like, that's fantastic. Whether it's hearing impaired or somebody on the spectrum or sensory issues, whatever it is. I'm going to say, once it's launched, Penny's somebody I'm going to get the $20 from. So I now know by just doing this and doing some more poking around that it's the wrong platform and it's the wrong number, and I need to do a local, more targeted pilot project first before going out into the big arena. So this is the last thing I want to say, and then we're going to do a little session here, a little quick. Look at that. Did you think they did it for free? This is the interesting thing. The biggest piece of information I learned about crowdfunding when starting my project was, watch out for hidden fees.
8%? Whoa.
What are you getting for your money, you ask? Well, for each platform, you really have to research what is the best one for you. Are you going to pay 8% if they're going to take your campaign and send it out to a built-in audience in health or theater or art? If you believe it, sure. If you think you're going to do a ground, operation and it's going to be that you're going to get that one night at Guild Hall to see All My Sons, and you don't need it, then you're not going to pay it. So be careful of hidden fees. That would be the key piece of information that I learned. Then there's another word that's not so fun. Penalties. A lot of these platforms will charge you a penalty if you don't make, anyway, I can't find it, but in the rules, there are, for each of these platforms, language about penalties. So if your project is a 60-day project and you didn't get your funding, they've already gotten their, 8%? And then is there also a penalty because you didn't make it? You need to look and make sure that you have the right platform for what you're doing. So that's another caveat.
How did they get 8% if you didn't get any money? It's only 8% of the funds raised.
Right.
Kickstarter says there's no.
Right.
Some of it.
Some other ones there are. And when I was looking at the theater ones, I was amazed because some of them are run by national organizations. My former union is one of them, and they have a penalty. I was like, naughty. Excuse me. So, very simple, plug and play, whether you're using Kickstarter or whether you're using one of the other ones. After you finish each one of these pieces of information, you go to the next page, They help you with all aspects of it. This is where you would upload your video. Again, rely on your help button. Excuse me. You have to fill in stuff about you, how wonderful you are. And okay, and then this would be what the front piece is. When we first logged on to Kickstarter, this would be what people would see if it was launched. I'm really having a hard time with this voice of mine. Good thing you gave me the mic, Penny. All right. So, that being said, let us talk maybe about one of your ideas. We'll put this back up. Does anybody want to talk a little bit about their project? And I can, this is my favorite part, where I can give you some advice.
I've got 2 projects in mind. And one of the questions is whether you can run 2 at the same time.
Can you repeat the question when you answer it?
Okay.
I have been. This gentleman said he has 2 projects, and the question
One
currently...
of them is that there was a second public radio station out here a few years back, and I was involved in that, but I left, and subsequently they went belly up. I'm thinking of trying to revitalize it, put it back on the air. And, you know, it would be a rather easy thing to do, require money, but have to purchase a license from the holder, but it's a small deal. I don't know if that can be done using here. I don't see it in the, unless you think of it as theaters.
Okay. What's your first name?
Matt.
Matt just was talking about a public radio station that was local, and at the beginning of what you said you have more than one project idea, and the question was, could you run both of them together? In questioning about the public radio and being able to launch it again on a local level, absolutely. Crowdfunding would be the idea. That'd be the place for you. Before you launch your campaign, you have to do your homework, though. How much does the license cost? How far does it throw? Obviously, you came from radio, you know. But my own experience in doing marketing for WPDB has been that you think you have all the costs in your budget, you go to your board, your angels, and then all these other hidden things come up. So my recommendation for you is to factor in the hidden costs, too. You got to pad it a little bit with, and you'll put that as a line item in your budget, that unanticipated cost, because you're dealing with a local community. There's going to be permitting and et cetera, et cetera. But absolutely, crowdfunding would be an ideal place for you to do that project.
Because I would limit it to a local group where there's no...
It doesn't matter that it's local. So your platform, whether you chose Kickstarter or something else, one of the other companies that I had up at the end, GoFundMe or Indigo, or like there's so many. There's crowdfunding.com.
Right.
I mean, think of a name and they've come up with it. It doesn't matter who you use if you're doing a local project. However, if you're doing a specific project like I am, which is a very small peanuts kind of thing, and I know I'm going to rely on local people to fund it, I'm going to go right to the theater one because they may offer me another resource. But you can get the same results from a major platform because you're relying on the people. Your support network and your angels are the people that are in this room that just heard your story and are like, oh, I remember that radio station. That'd be so exciting. Are you going to do something other than jazz? Are you going to do something, are you going to be able to be an NPR affiliate? Those are the people that you're going to tap. And then it goes out. So absolutely, just because it's a local issue doesn't mean you can't use a global platform.
Okay, but your project has the benefit that the concept, the special night just for impaired audiences, that is international in scope, really, in its ultimate effect.
Mm-hmm.
Putting one little shit radio station back on the air is really very
this is my
and of
favorite.
no interest to people in California.
This is my favorite part of teaching these workshops. This is where we do this, where we break it down and I send you off, hopefully, with the inspiration. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
The people in California might care. The people in Milwaukee might care. But we don't need to worry about who's in Milwaukee and who's in California. We have to worry about the story. We have to worry about the narrative. Why are you doing this? You're not just, the first slide I showed you, or one of the first slides I showed you, was you can't just, let's make sure you're not just asking for, do you have a legitimate ask besides we want money? Why are you bringing this radio station back? Why are you reviving this? So I just hit a key word for you, revival. You have radio, which is our, an antiquated form of communication, but one that needs to be reinforced and supported. What?
Shame on you.
Well, I mean, it's analog versus,
Well, okay.
in the sense of what the mainstream is. I support WPBB. I work for them. Wally Smith is a dear friend of mine. And if I had a big check, I'd give it to him tomorrow. I believe strongly in public radio. So, I'm actually one of your supporters. But I could also be somebody in California, ultimately, because your cousin Harry has his friend in California who grew up as a radio major. And he loves this sort of thing, and he didn't know you were doing this project. It's the story. You have to think about what you're selling. Think about that Sally Struthers commercial of feeding those poor, starving children. Think about that middle line. Do you have a legitimate ask besides you just want money? Why are you doing it? Why? I'm doing it. I have a story just like you said. People buy into my story. I'm doing it because I'm helping people get out and enjoy a cultural experience. One of the people here is doing something, I don't know all the details, but is doing something with a historic property. I don't even know what she's doing, and immediately I can say, you've got incredible resources both on a local and a global level. People have buy-in. There's a story. I mean, there's always a story in a community. Use it. Tell that story. Tell it in your video. Tell it in your writing. What is the point of this restoration? Tell them why. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You believe in it, now you just have to make me believe in it. Anyone else want to walk the walk with my encouragement? Do you want to share yours at all?
I'm not sure. Actually, my thought is sort of on the rough edges of providing educational material to different places in the world, like where Ebola struck in Africa. A friend of mine was working there. And I think, I don't know whether it would be DVDs or what these children would need, but starting with that scope.
Did everyone hear what she said?
No.
Okay. This woman said that she was thinking about doing something regarding educational materials and sending it to places that have suffered some type of tragedy. What's your first name, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Hi, Gail. Gail has a personal experience with somebody who was somewhere where this Ebola, in Africa. Okay, guess what you just did? You shared with me your testimonial. There it is. That's a great thing. And what I would say, my recommendation and my sort of 2 cents for the pot when you leave here to think about is, and I can tell you who this person is. I work with a school teacher who traveled to another country with art supplies that she collected, and she used crowdfunding and networking to get people to make donations of just basic Crayola materials because these children have never even seen or been able to express themselves with art. She did this, you know why, Gail? She loves art. She's a painter. It was good. She was signed on. It was the Sally Struthers. She had it. I'm going to recommend to you, you should consider, I would recommend that you consider the location, the tragedy, and the resource. You should be writing this down. No, seriously, if you can answer those 3 things and you truly believe in them, or at least one of them, then you have your narrative. It's the location, the tragedy, and the resource. For me, right off the top of the bat, I maybe wouldn't have gone to Ebola. I would maybe It would be something about a hurricane, and it would be
Maybe also there.
it would be that all of, and after researching a recent hurricane, I would realize that the population that was struck the most, I'm not going to talk about religion and maybe providing something for a church. To me, it's easier to go to something neutral like education and say, oh my gosh, they lost their schools. So all those elementary students lost their notebooks, pens, pencils, whatever. Not textbooks, because I wouldn't be providing that. But so that would be my thing. And then I could say, oh, and then I would spend my time, Gail, once you can answer those 3 elements, researching what other people have done. What other people have done is great. Your health initiative, what did someone else do? Dr. Wentz did this amazing program on Hashimoto. Look at her success. This is what I'm trying to do with your help. Reference somebody else who's done it. My friend, that's your testimonial. You could have video of her. It doesn't have to be the same exact resource. It doesn't have to be the same exact tragedy. But you're showing and highlighting that you had the cause and hopefully some type of aid. Yay! Anyone else? I knew you were going to ask. Yes.
Okay. I was challenged by this 75-year-old wizard in Albany to help him bring some technology to fruition, based on the fact that I helped the group that saved Wardenclyffe. Tragedy there was a professor named Dr. Tesla who created this lab over in East Shore, and they just raised $1.2 million to salvage the property and turn it into a school or science center.
Great.
So anyway, this fellow challenged me, saying, "Okay, Scott, can we do something like that here in Albany with what he's doing?" Okay.
Great. If you couldn't hear him what he was talking about. No, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember your name. Scott.
Oh, Scott. Yeah.
Scott was talking about there was a project with somebody who was quite a big to-do, was a scientist, and I'm going to shorten what you just said. And the ultimate thing that ended up happening is they made a science center around where this man was working. He's now been challenged, Scott has been challenged with a similar thing for Albany. And what could we do? Because these people were able to raise $1.2 million for their project. So my first question to you is, are you providing a resource for people in Albany?
Perhaps.
Or are you selling a product?
No, the fellow up there said, "Oh, well, I'll give you a percentage, whatever you can, like a broker's fee or whatever to make that happen." And I don't know what you think about that. Being that it's for a good cause, I would probably.
What's the cause?
It would essentially help people with everyone in the world with their energy needs. So,
Energy efficiency?
well, solar or something along.
Reducing their bills?
Reducing it.
See, I'm cutting to the chase, Scott.
Yeah.
You need to cut to the chase. You need to answer those questions for this project. You need to find what it is that you're doing or that this gentleman wants you to work with on getting some crowdfunding. What it is that's going to be enough for people to want to buy in. Now, it could be just good old-fashioned, like pyramid scheme kind of thing, and that it could be that I want to invest because ultimately your product or service is going to make money, and as a reward, as an investor, I get a percentage. So it could be good old-fashioned investment. It could be that my reward is some type of kickback, true kickback, the old school. A lot of people invest and they receive rewards, and I'm really glad that you brought this up because I'm going to finish by saying this. When we saw the slide of communicating and the pleases and thank yous, a friend of mine did a project where she took natural wood, tree branches actually, and she made these beautiful balls, like geodome balls. And her project was to get them bronzed, which is very difficult if you know anything about bronzing. Nobody wants to do it, especially with something so delicate. anyway, so she did a crowdfunding project, and they encourage you when you fill out the resource information. What are you going to give to your investors? Are you giving them money? Are you giving them good heart by providing something? Are you going to send them a picture of the child they've adopted? I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious, it really is. Or you can actually send them a something, and they'll talk to you when you go on your platform. They'll walk you through that. You could be just sending, if you were in a national situation and you used the ASPCA, you could be sending that, okay, the purchase of my book, the money goes to the ASPCA. Or the other item is, I will send you 1 3x5 photograph of Lucky, the dog, who was adopted after I printed this publication, signed by the artist. You can do the giveaway. The giveaway is huge. That's a big thing that they'll walk you through. So I know I have to wrap up. Thank you for coming. I'm going to get off the mic now.
Thank you very much, Anne.